Okay. Let's see if we can finish this off. Bonjour to you too, Trista. Hey there, Scuzzbopper. I'm going into this trial, my trial, with a lot less ammunition than I'd like. I'm beginning to form a picture of what actually happened, maybe even circling the drain on a suspect. But Emma won't be generous enough to give me breathing room. She'll want to end this fast. Maybe if I do badly enough, it'll flip her sadistic switch and she'll want to keep playing. Is that advising me to bluff? So you got charged with owning an AI. First time you do something in your whole life. Jesus. And I gotta find out through the grapevine. My life is plenty exciting. Freckles. You could bore the polish off a resume checking robot. I've Catholic school teachers with more active night lives than you. Oh, good grief. Okay, yeah, like what else do you say to that? Okay. So who do you rope in? Anyone I know? Oh, shit. Are you representing yourself? Fits within my budget. Screw your budget. You're going to jail. Thanks for the vote of confidence. Ain't a matter of how good a lawyer you are. Anyone who represents themselves in court has a fool for counsel. Yep, that is the saying. Actually, I think it's a fool for a client, but whatever. You represented yourself countless times. Not for anything I had a chance of losing. Your pal hasn't even been dead 48 hours. You're too close to this. You'll make mistakes. Powers that be really didn't want to give me a rain check. They're taking this very seriously. It's more dangerous than that. They're scared. Is there precedent? An ad committing murder? How do you pass law school without learning how to look this stuff up? I know what the net says. I'm asking you. The answer to that is not helpful to you at the moment. So what words of advice do you have? Get yourself a new lawyer. Gonna close this chat now. Don't lose, Freckles. Thanks, Mom. Jesus. Just a heads up right off the bat. I am playing this. I have a walkthrough open in another tab, and I have no shame about this. I'm dead set on finishing this thing off this session. So I'll do what I need to in order to do that. Not to imply that it's like, I'm so sick of it. The game, again, is good. It is longer than I thought it would be for these episodes. But it is good, but the mechanics part of it do tick me off. The story's phenomenal. I'd happily watch this as an animated series. You don't need to tell me that. What are you reading, Adonai? I was reading David's employment contract with Noble Electronics before I got waylaid by spam texts. The one we found inside the panic room? It looks quite extensive. Should I skim it for you? Depends. Did you pass the bar exam since we last spoke? You comfortable? I am not. Ever since that old movie with the gorilla and the skyscraper, they bring it to the city, and I understand the analogy, Adonai. I wish I could call it overkill, but considering the specs Sarah put up yesterday, maybe those bindings aren't heavy enough. Come to think of it, those numbers must have been faked along with the rest of what the machine read. If that was all the smokescreen David added to help her lay low, then her actual strength is more like... If your joints weren't currently locked up tighter than a vice, do you think you could escape this place? I hope that question is not indicative of your strategy. This is me trying to distract you, Sarah. Enjoy the hypothetical. I would estimate that this building's automated security would put 9 holes in me before I reach that door. 9's not so bad. I would not be able to function after the 7th. Ah. Well, if you haven't been planning some great escape, I would not do that. That would be illegal. And you would still be on trial. I remember. So what have you been doing all day then? I'm attempting to recover memories from Friday. You can do that? It's not dissimilar from the process of recovering data erased from any other computer. Despite the difference in scale, I won't be able to remember everything, but if successful, I could recall individual pieces of information that could prove useful. That's a lot of coulds. And even if you're successful, you may not like what you find. Whatever happened that day, either you or David wanted you to forget it. Yes. But even so, I have to remember because it's the last day that Father and I... Any luck so far, then? I can recall a slightly musty scent. Wow! Case closed. What about you, Adonai? Have you formulated a plan for the trial's proceedings? Something like that? Jung insisted that serotonin isn't what killed David. I don't buy it. There's no other explanation for how he died. So she's lying. And if she repeats that lie on the stand, I'll need to expose it. Somehow. Somehow. Would she really commit perjury to protect Noble? To protect one of Noble's patents? Yes. I mean, I guess we're taking the position that no, she wouldn't, but yes. She doesn't strike me as quite the corporate zealot she makes herself out to be. Although, I suppose, to be fair, a lot of corporate types these days are actually very honest in depositions because they know they're not gonna face actual consequences for anything anyways. So, maybe not. But you believe that she has something to do with Father's death. What do you think? I don't know. I don't know why anyone would kill Father. Considering the possible consequences of what he confessed in his journal, I can think of... but then again, I don't understand why anyone would kill anyone. Oh, of all the people to say that to. Do you? Bells tolling for thee. Means the doors to the courtroom are unlocked. Let's... Wait, can you walk like that? Waddle will have to do. Wait a second, across the hall. That's... Hey, Porter, what's up? Keep waddling, Sarah. I'll catch up. As you say, Adonai. This will be a coin toss. You're that surprised to see me. I'm not surprised you'd want to see the outcome of this trial. I'm surprised you'd want to talk to me. You're defending the android, right? No, I'm defending myself. Hold on. Does it make a difference? Alright. It does make a difference, but not much. And thankfully, the better option was the one that I was going to pick anyways. So, let's be honest. Yeah, I'm defending Sarah's innocence. I don't think she killed David. Do you? I don't think it matters. Noble is what killed David. Whether it was with a pen stroke or a sleeper agent, killer android, or plain old goddamn arsenic. How could anyone be that smart, be that dumb? Why the hell did he ever sign his soul over them? David may have been in over his head, but he wasn't a bad negotiator. I've read his contract. His position was strong. You're the lawyer. But a guy like me, working in music, can't tell you how many people I've seen screwed over by a big smile and a fat signing bonus. No such thing as corporate generosity. Ooh, that's a good phrase. Write that one down, kids. It'll be on the test. If you think you're getting a good deal, it's only because you don't know how much you just sold. How much you just sold. David's real wealth lay in his intellectual property, the potential energy of it, hanging over the whole industry. If he sued even 1% of the companies taking inspiration from his Turing solution, there's a clause in his contract. If Noble ever did fire David, he would have retained control over all his patents afterwards. Yeah, see, that sounds nice, only they never did fire him, did they? He just happened to die. An unforeseeable act of God. In contract law, they call that force majeure. Look, there's plenty of people who have a reason to do this. I just am not sure who did it. I said, did you find anything interesting in the contract, Adonai? A few things, yeah. Basically, David was well taken care of so long as they kept him around. And he'd retain control of his patents even after being let go. But what Porter said, logically, if David were to pass while still employed, Noble would continue to control the bulk of his IP. So if they knew David was going to leave in a year, it would be very foolish of them to let Father go. Well, they wouldn't do it for no reason. With this contract, he could only be fired for serious offensive, corporate malfeasance, revealing trade secrets, fraud. Father was not a fraud. He was, as they say, the greatest of all time. Fraud just means lying to the company about something, Sarah. Always worth making the point, there are legal terms that have a different meaning than what they would in regular conversation. Actual malice is another one that throws people off because its legal meaning is very specific and it has nothing to do with somebody, being malicious in their heart. The full text details. Yep. Okay. Oh. Eyes up. Showtime. All right. Here we go. While I do have the walkthrough open and close to hand, I am going to see if I have good instincts when options come up. But if I question it for even a second, I am just going to open the walkthrough. Because at this point, I am far more engaged with the narrative than I am with the mechanics. Counselor Morgan, the state charges you with possession of contraband. Contraband? That'd be you. In violation of the Safeguarding Our National Digital Security Act. How do you plead? Not guilty. Murmuring, muttering. I love that you can actually find courtroom murmuring stock sounds like on YouTube. It's such a standard fucking thing. Very well then. Since it seems that we are in fact doing this, I'll now turn over the administration of this trial to the adjutant. Oh boy, she's back, baby. But be warned, any attempt at stalling or muddling the issue, I'll step right in and override the trial myself. Summary judgment siding with the people. Are we understood? Yes, Your Honor. Are we going to have the same adjutant we had before? No way. Oh, damn. That's a shame. She was fun. Each courthouse only has so many bodies, but the personalities swap around all the time, so the chances of us dealing with the same glitchy mess as yesterday are... Ah! Yes! Huzzah! That makes me very happy. Glad to be back! Did y'all miss me? Forget I said anything. I'll just go crawl under a rock and die while you make your opening statements. I really love this thing. Yeah, exactly, Trista. That's actually, I don't know if they still do it, but I remember that being one of the better early running gags on South Park. Whenever there was an angry crowd, they'd just go rabble, 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 rabble. The defendant is the owner of an Android registered under the name Sarah with license model 12029280. She hasn't contested this, and I doubt she will. So the question of ownership is already answered. All that remains is to determine whether Sarah qualifies as contraband. It's a charming android, incredibly well made, a masterpiece and the last known work of a great man. But when we look at the evidence and the facts surrounding the death of Dr. Asher, we are forced to conclude that said android is responsible for his death, and that conclusion carries very serious implications. I will prove here in court today that the machine standing there killed David Asher, not through an accident or a mismanaged dosage, but through an intentional poisoning. I won't ask the court to judge this machine on its apparent sentience, its range of emotions, or the free will it may or may not possess. I only ask the court to judge this creation on what we will prove it to be more than capable of. Patricide. Rabble, 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 rabble. Woof! Wouldn't want to have to follow that act. But go for it anyway, defense! Your Honor, what the DA said is true. Rabble, 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 rabble. Sorry, just the first part. This android is charming and is the work of a great man. The rest of it was pure speculation based on little more than a few bad camera angles and a phobia of anything new. I do own the android you see here. It was bequeathed to me by a man known to most of the people in this courtroom as the father of modern machine intelligence. To me, he was just my friend. And if I thought at any point that this puppet had anything to do with his death, I would have dragged it to the chopping block myself. But I don't believe that. I never have. Sarah is an android, nothing more. Well, you know that's not true. It isn't capable of homicide. Maybe? Distinctly possibly, but we don't know. And it didn't even commit manslaughter. Hopefully not. It's just a well-made machine. Any fears one has about its capabilities are projections, nothing more. And it troubles me greatly that the status is spending valuable time and resources on rushing to pulverize Dr. Asher's last known work, when it could be going after the very real, very human forces that were responsible for his death. Be careful, Morgan. Rabble, rabble, rabble. I actually don't really like the additions of the specifics of the court murmurings. Like, I doubt that they're distracting, honestly. I would rather they had gotten themselves a stock sound effect, and so we just hear... The people can't prove that Sarah is an AI. I mean, you probably could, but they can't. And truth be told, I can't prove that it isn't. Well, that's basic logic. You can't prove a negative. But I can prove that it's not guilty, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. All right, that's actually a good angle because Emma's entire opening case hinges on the idea that she can prove that Sarah killed David, which, if she did, brings all the implications that come with her being an AI, because she would have to be if she broke the tenets. But Emma's case completely hinges on proving that Sarah did that, and Emma herself has rendered any argument about what Sarah's actual capabilities of completely moot. So Emma, probably in an effort to try and play her strongest hand and not overcomplicate matters, has actually put all of her eggs in one basket. So let's see if we can tip it over. Chills. You sounded very confident, Adonai. Yeah, well. No one ever got good at lying by being modest. You could have simply said thank you. Thank you for your presence here today, Detective London. In light of the new evidence, I'd like to go over the death of Dr. Asher one more time. What happened Friday night? At 6:30 p.m., David Escher spoke on the phone with his lover, and the two of them broke things off. Lover. It's an accurate description of their relationship, isn't it? I wouldn't know. That stuff's private. Adonai. And then the deceased met with Noble VP Helen Young in his parlor starting around 7:30 p.m. He then left the parlor and the sightlines of his home security system before reappearing on his private secondary security system in his basement moments later, at which point the android Sarah can be seen handing him the poison he'd go on to drink. Objection? Morgan, fucking objection! No, what you see is her hand him the cup, and it is then presumed that the poison was already in it. Come on, dude! Do you see that android in this courtroom? Yep, she's the green-haired one that's frowning at me. Let the record show that the android Sarah has been identified at the scene of the crime. Morgan, object! Fuck. Okay, fine. Don't be an idiot. None? Why'd I even show up? Detective London, what happened next? Asher went upstairs and started to drink with Ms. Young. Hold on, I'm just going to check something real quick. Oh, wait. Oh, fuck. Was that something that I actually had the power to do? Hold on. Was that something I was supposed to do in the game? Like, call that? Fuck. That might have been my fault. God damn it. Okay. Nope. Okay. Well, good. In that case, Morgan's still a freaking idiot. Within a few minutes, he was being airlifted to the hospital, where he was soon declared dead. We know the poison could be produced by his manufacturer, which Sarah had access to just up the stairs in his workshop. So Sarah had ample opportunity to procure the poison, and Sarah handled Dr. Escher's cup immediately before he did. Is there a question in that statement, Your Honor? Thank you! Good grief. I'll rephrase. Was anyone else seen handling Dr. Escher's cup before he died? No. I have no further questions. So that's your witness, counselor. He wasn't lying per se, but there was some ambiguity in the statement he gave. Truth's got to come out one way or another. If Emma won't push, I'll have to pull. All right. Yeah, no. No issue with that statement. Yeah, no issue with that. Yeah. Check that footage again, Detective London. We only see Sarah handing the victim the cup. He had already retrieved the whiskey himself. Okay, but you still should have objected to the way he worded it the first time. That's one of the things that can drive me up the wall when these things like get it. Like, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know that much about the law, but I know the way he worded that you should have objected to. Oh yeah, forgot about that. Detective London just wasn't being specific enough, Your Honor, but it matters little since it was David's cup, not the whiskey bottle, that was poisoned. All right. Just checking a few things, and here we go. Weird flex, but okay. And the undeniable fact is shown clearly in the security footage. Sarah hands him a cup after he was ready to leave. True, she did call David back and handed him a cup of poison? If the cup was already poisoned, don't you think David would have noticed it wasn't empty? Well, not necessarily. The lethal dose could have been quite small. If it were just a droplet, he could have easily overlooked it. For Sarah, this crime is very simple. There was too little to the planning for anything to go wrong. When she handed it off, she just had to wait for him to drink from his cup. How would she know what cup he was gonna drink from? Not a great plan if that really was Sarah's move. She gave him 2 cups. How could she have... Thank you! How could she have known which cup David would drink from? There are a few ways to go about it, but it's only a 50-50 shot, counselors. Stranger things have happened. Yeah, but that weakens the shit out of your case. Don't try and bluff me, Rockford. There was no difference between the cups. It's not a bluff. Sarah handed the cups to him in one stack with the poison hidden in the bottom cup. Oh. She knew David was courteous and would pour his guests first. Damn it. So he wouldn't even look in the poison cups until he was already poisoned. Cold-blooded patricide. God damn it. Stop it. Oh, did I actually fuck that up? Okay, yeah. I fucked that up. Damn, she was luring me in with those easy answers. God damn it. Yeah, fuck off. Now, there are some questions you'd like to ask the detective while he's available, or are you done already? I was just getting started. Alright, here's this shit. Even if I didn't have questions, I'd make up some just to spite you at this point, but I can do better than that. Now, what can I get London to say that would help my case? Detective, in the footage we saw, could you see what Sarah was doing? Not exactly, no. Her back was to the camera. Her hands were obscured. Could you see her hands from any other clip of camera footage retrieved from the basement? No. Do you or anyone else participating in the investigation ever see Sarah put anything into David Asher's cup? No, the footage submitted for the record is the best available view, of what happened. Okay. Detective, do you know how many violent incidents this city's police have investigated in the last year? Not the exact number. Thousands, though. Yeah, around there. And of those thousands of incidents of violence, do you know how many of them were found to be the fault of automated dependence? Oh, Trista! Thank you very much for the super chat. That's incredibly lovely of you. Your game streams always make me happy. I'll miss them a lot. It means you get some bandwidth back. I'm glad and still support you. Like, if I... there's a lot going on, you know, in my offline life right now, and yeah, I do need the bandwidth. If and when things settle again, I might start doing these on a regular basis again. But yeah, for the time being, as soon as I wrap this thing up, they're gonna go on hiatus. Not necessarily cancellation, but hiatus. It's a Doctor Who in 1989 situation. I believe there's been 6 in the last 5 years. Were all 6 of them incidents of police license ad involved brutality? Relevance, Your Honor, withdrawn. As an aside, Detective, do you know how many tenants are recognized in this country? 110? 112 as of this year. Couldn't you have given me that one? Do you know how many of those tenants pertain to protecting humans from harm? That one I do know, 41. And lastly, Detective, how many times in the last, say, century have we seen automated dependents break their tenants? 5 times is the agreed upon number. So if you were to tally up If you were to tally that all up and try and make an evaluation of a police officer charged with protecting civilians overall, you would say that automated dependents in general are how dangerous to the public? Yeah, that sounds about right, 255. Joke. We'll see. Looking forward to the Council of Geeks movie with Paul McGann. The witness is not an expert in automated dependence, Your Honor. He's more than qualified to say whether they have a history of violence, Your Honor. Ah, what the heck? Let him answer. I would have to say they are not dangerous. Normally, that would have brought me some doubt with the jury, but this isn't a traditional trial. At least I can say assured of my own confidence. All right. Seems like that's as close as I'm going to get to blackjack. I believe I've made my point. I have no more questions for this witness, Your Honor. Then we can move to the next item on the docket. Looks like Emma wants to introduce some new evidence. I call Sarah to the stand. Rabble. Approach, Your Honor. Oh, you're approaching me. I believe that it's me they wanted to speak with. I didn't even get to finish my line. Now then, what the hell are you doing, Rockford? Took the words right out of my mouth. I have questions for the android. It seemed like the best way to get answers. You can't call an android as a witness. It's not a person. There's plenty of precedent for it. Ads provide testimony all the time. Not when they're on trial. Sarah isn't on trial. You are. Sarah's accused of being an AI. That means you don't trust a word out of its mouth. If the witness isn't to be trusted, the court can decide that for itself after hearing their testimony. Why the ambush? Why didn't you list this as entering evidence, D.A. Rockford? Only people can be witnesses, Your Honor, and ads don't have legal personhood. Evidence seemed like the best-worst descriptor. You know I can't make an android swear an oath. Rockford's just trying to spoil your opinion, Your Honor. The more this court treats Sarah like a person, the more you'll see her as human, the weaker my case becomes in your eyes. Nice try, Counselor, but we don't have time to worry about my impartiality. I'm worried about it! You're free to call for a mistrial if you want, but the state will have turned Sarah into slag before you can even finish signing your motion. And fuck you too. Rockford's calling a witness that is blatantly hostile to her case. If the witness is hostile, so be it. It did kill a man after all. Allegedly. What about the right to avoid self-incrimination? Who's the one treating Sarah like a person now? Androids don't have rights. Damn it, that's the android will take the stand. Your Honor, I've made my decision. And if Sarah refuses to take the stand, are you going to charge it with contempt of court? If the machine won't talk, you'll make every effort as its owner to ensure that it does. And if it disobeys you, then we'll have our answer about its sentience right then and there. Yes, Your Honor. Shit. What's going on? The DA is going to question you on the stand. What? But I shouldn't. Listen to me. You don't have a choice right now. This is happening. Tell the truth, but be concise. The more robotic, the better. Yes or no's only if you can. Would using affirmative and negative being laying it on too thick? But Adonai, if I make a mistake, all these people, they want to destroy me. If you make a mistake, your lawyer will just have to cover for you. Okay. Understand? Yes. You're the android identified as Sarah, correct? Yeah. Affirmative. Oh! Do you deny that this camera footage shows you handling the poisoned cup? Objection. It remains to be seen whether the cup itself was definitively poisoned. Yes. Yes. Sarah, do you deny handing that cup to David Asher? Thank you for actually raising that objection this time, Morgan. Jesus. Negative? I have no memory of the incident, so I can neither confirm nor deny it. Do you have any reasoning, any excuse for your actions, for failing to notify police of crucial information? I do not have any records from that day, so I never had anything to tell anyone. Very well. Counselor? The journal, if you will? Fuck. Of course. Do you recognize this item? It's a journal that belongs to Dr. David Asher. Have you seen him write in it on many occasions? Or I have seen him write in it on many occasions. And have you any knowledge of its contents? You don't have to answer that, actually. Tell the court what you see here in this footage. I see myself reading the journal in the basement. This footage was captured on Friday, the day you claim to have no memory of. So, regardless of what you do or don't remember, we know that you read this journal hours before David Asher died. That is logical. I'd like to read some passages from it for the court. Can you do that? Of course. Page 238, the 10th line. Sarah is growing faster than I ever expected, beyond my wildest dreams or fears. Today, continue please. Today she broke every password I have in the house, said she was curious. I can't expect to keep things from her forever. Page 251, line 12. Hey there, Starbush. Yeah, I haven't seen any of that yet, Ms. Wicked Wolf. I've gravely underestimated the scope of things. Sarah could change everything, and I don't think I could stop her. He wasn't. Page 263. Damn it. She keeps this up, Sarah's gonna fall to pieces up there. I don't have a leg to stand on here, and Sarah doesn't have a shred of legal protection to speak of. Just have to let this play out. Page 263, I said. I think Sarah was angry today. When I came back from work, she had ripped a Zin alloy plate in half. She said she was testing her strength, but the cameras... That was page 267. Sarah scared me today. If she starts bawling on the stand, it's all over. Your Honor, I fail to see the value of continuing this line of questioning. Dr. Asher was wary of a highly experimental android he was building, as any good scientist would be. That's been established. Do the people have a counter-argument? I have just one last question, if it pleases the court. Let's hear it! This footage was captured in the basement on Friday around 5:30 p.m. Tell the court what you see. I see myself standing where I was when I read the journal. I'm speaking to someone who's off camera, and I appear agitated. I stomp my foot. And what happens to the floor after you stomp your foot? A large crack is made in the vulcanized polymer. And I walk off camera towards whoever I had been speaking to. Speaking or shouting? Asked and answered. Not really, but I'll withdraw the comment nonetheless. Your witness, counselor, or evidence, if you prefer. Damn, she knew I knew she could cherry pick all the worst passages from the journal, but still. If Barrows wasn't wavering before, should I try and have Sarah read the mushy parts? No, the waterworks would start only after a few lines. Emma went to all the trouble to show how emotionally developed Sarah is, proving that she loved David like a father would be playing right into her hand. What do you say, counselor? Got some burning cues for the android to answer? Yes, Your Honor, just one moment. Emma went for emotion, and the impact was devastating. So all I can do is focus on the facts. So let's flip around. Say Sarah absolutely didn't poison David. If that's the case, why did she call him back on his way out of the basement? Wait, that's... I'd actually like you to read from the journal again, Sarah. You would? From where? From the section that explains what you were actually trying to do that night. The section of his journal detailing... Look around the early section. There should be an entry talking about an early victory at Noble. Relevance. The people will see in just one moment that this story is key to the entire case. Got approval from overseas. Have to make pitch again this week, Young says. Brought me a stack of plastic cups. Here's to a bright future together. And then on this next page, another victory for the young and sleepless. Helen convinced the president of Futures over lunch that my code should be the basis of the Animate 13's conversational tracking. She insisted on toasting, same crappy booze and same cheap cups. Wants to make a tradition. Interesting. That was a tradition deliberately set up. That is very interesting. I finally watched Project Hail Mary. I watched you and your other people's videos. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, 255. I liked it. Plastic cups and liquor. A ritual between Helen Young and David Asher, who were about to have a drink together Friday night. Something you want to say, counselor? Let's put all our cards on the table, shall we? You want to compare theories? If you'd rather I end this now, I'd be happy to oblige. Here's what we know. Hang on, I'm going to check something real quick. Okay. Sarah read the journal and discovered what she was. It infuriated her, and she wanted revenge for being kept under her maker's thumb. That very night, she got her chance when Dr. Asher came down looking for a drink, so like the clever little helper she is, she offered him a cup to drink out of. We're completely in agreement on all that. So you also agree the cup was poisoned, and that Sarah's responsible for his death? Not quite. It's not a bad explanation, Ms. Rockford, but it is terribly complex. There's a much simpler reasoning for why Sarah did what she did. Hold on. Huh. This actually isn't in the walkthrough. What the? Come on. The story from the journal, you're saying Sarah wasn't planning anything. She was just being considerate. That's so sweet. But I don't follow, like, at all. It's actually quite simple. Sarah's not an AI. She only threw a tantrum that day because she found out she was being spied on. A realistic reaction for an android designed to be realistic. David Asher set her memory to be cleared himself because he wanted to preserve the experiment he was running. Sarah didn't hatch a plan to poison him using an obscure chemical acquired from the lab. She didn't subtly manipulate David into drinking from only one of 2 cups. Because the android read the whole journal that day, meaning she also read how David and Young used to celebrate, so when she saw David was leaving the basement without the nostalgic cup, she called him back to hand them to him. Simple, right? Simple enough for me. That's not nearly good enough for me. What's more likely, Ms. Rockford, that a well-made, clever android proposed a sentimental addition to 2 friends' evenings, or that a homegrown AI with groundbreaking physical and digital capabilities concocted a complicated poisoning scheme just to kill an unimposing man, all on camera, mind you, before voluntarily submitting to a memory wipe? People make all kinds of stupid mistakes when they commit crimes. She's not a person. We should expect an AI. We shouldn't expect an AI to act differently. Is it stupid or dangerous? Can't have it both ways, Your Honor. We can if it's ignorant of its power and still immature. A deadly trait to have in an AI that's capable of anything. Well, we see what Sarah... Shall we see what Sarah's capable of then, Your Honor? What? You can't... Your Honor. That's... The people opened the door. True. And I can't resist open doors. Let's do it. What are you even... Sarah, David Asher was your creator and your designated owner, correct? Should I still be using affirmative? And now that title falls to me. Yes? Great. Thank you. Now turn off. What? Shut down. That's a command. Power on. What are you off? She's pulling the exact same thing that was done to Data in Measure of a Man. Nice. I don't know if that was a direct inspiration, but nice. I liked Rocky's people not knowing about relativity. I realized in the book that that was there to explain why he had more fuel than Grace, but that isn't explained in the film, so it's just an arbitrary detail. I mean, it's one of those things that I mentioned in my video about it, that like there's a lot of stuff that's in the book that isn't detailed in the movie, but can be assumed to still be true. Also, because I've read The Martian, and I know how Andy Weir writes, there were certain moments where I knew they were glossing over stuff that must have been a detailed science explanation in the book. Oh, tons. Tons, tons, tons. On. Adonai, I don't off. That right there is, ladies and gentlemen, is what this fearsome machine menace is capable of. I can put it to sleep with one word. So how could David Asher ever be threatened by it? Scary. Scary good logic. You've made your point, counselor. Let's move along. I have no further queries for the machine, Your Honor. Sorry, Sarah. Thank you for flipping you off and on. Can't imagine that was comfortable. It wasn't, but I wasn't referring to that. Since yesterday, I've been searching for an answer to why I appeared on that camera. I know I would never hurt Father, but you helped me prove that to myself just now. Adonai? Pardon me, I need to focus. Everything depends on the next witness. The people call Helen Young to the stand. All right, Helen. Helen Young, Vice President of Android Futures at Noble Electronics Eastern Division. Ms. Young, you were there the night Dr. Asher died, and you were on camera the entire time. That's correct. So what did you see that night? I arrived at 7:30. As you know, David and I talked in the parlor. He left to retrieve some refreshments for us. After drinking together for a short while, he felt ill. I contacted emergency services, and I'm sure you're all tired of hearing the same details over and over by now. Same details over and over aren't going to hold up anymore, Madam Beep. It's still unclear to me whether Young's more concerned with protecting herself or the almighty company. Porque no los dos. But it'll clear up real fast if I can turn up the pressure on her here and now. Journal. Arbitration. New story. Came to David's at 7:30. We chatted for a short while about some low price. 255. I called him that because that's what he thinks of himself. Nothing heavy. You're both more professional than I realized, since only hours earlier you had run a meeting in which his employment was terminated. His employment wasn't terminated at the arbitration you're referring to. His resignation was merely agreed upon. Yes, and we can all imagine how grateful he felt about the whole process. David didn't hold grudges. Our conversation wasn't about that. The fact that you had fired him that afternoon didn't come up. Asked and answered. Who initiated the meeting in his penthouse? I arrived, unannounced, so you weren't invited. Very cordial indeed. If he didn't want to see me, he could have stopped me at the elevators. Could he have? Noble owned the entire building, down to the wiring. Counsel's badgering the witness, Your Honor. Huh? I fucking love this thing. Right. Should we execute her for that then? No need. If I could just continue my questioning, we can finally start addressing the elephant in the room. Where? Oh, I see. That was merely a joke. Hilarious. Ms. Young, Noble Electronics owns a patent for and produces the synthetic biochemical known as synatonin, correct? That's correct. It's used in our warm models to facilitate integration and communication between organics and synthetic components. It's an artificial neurotransmitter. Essentially, yes, synthetic analog serotonin was the original name. Did you bring the sample I requested to the courtroom today? I did. Synatonin was produced on site at our assembly lines as a caramel-tinted solution, including water and a few non-reactive organic byproducts. Your analysis, Your Honor? Working on it. It's odorless and tasteless. A solution of water and organic byproducts, you said. If that solution were ingested, most of it would look right at home in a human body, I suppose. But the synatonin wouldn't stand out, wouldn't you say? It's not a naturally occurring compound, so yes. And it's a perfect match for the substance previously labeled Delta. There we go. God, I called that so goddamn early. And the sample we collected from the manufacturer preset in Dr. Asher's lab, that's a bingo! The witness's brown stuff matches your brown stuff down to a T. In light of this evidence and the witness's testimony, I motion that the court formally recognize that Dr. Asher's cause of death was synatonin poisoning. I don't object, Your Honor. But I'm afraid that I must. Of course you must. Excuse me? Synatonin may very well have been in his body when he died, but synatonin didn't kill Dr. Asher. What the hell is she up to? It couldn't have. It couldn't kill anybody. What? Because it's non-toxic. Of course, we designed it to affect androids, not people. Hold on. You're now claiming that Dr. Asher died of what? Natural causes. I can't say what he died of. I'm not a medical expert. But I can easily prove that synatonin is harmless. How could you? She's gonna drink it. There it is! Like so. Huh. Didn't see that one coming. What? What? That ain't good. Bailiff, contact the hospital immediately. I told you it's fine. But I can stand here all day if necessary. What in the... And what you just drank was several hundred times the amount found in Dr. Asher's body. Why didn't you say anything until now? That is an excellent damn question. Noble Electronics is a multinational corporation with patents filed all over the world. We take the protection of our trade secrets very seriously. The production and nature of Synatonin is closely guarded, and that guard remains up even during a murder investigation, unfortunately. I would have been able to tell you earlier had you asked directly. What the hell this can't be right. None of this makes sense. Boy, howdy, I'm lost as hell. But do you have any further questions, Rockyford? No, not at the moment, Your Honor. And the defense. Prosecution's own witness just threw the entire case into question. Normally, this would be cause for celebration, but shadow of doubt isn't enough this time. Burroughs would much rather bring down the gavel early than let a potential AI walk free. What Jung did was shocking, but what I need to do hasn't changed. Think this through, logically. Is it really possible that Synatonin had nothing to do with David's death? No, that's bullshit. It can't be a coincidence. There's nothing else that would have killed him. But Jung just drank Synatonin in front of us and she's fine, so was it fake? No. It was confirmed by the core computer to be the genuine article, so she drank poison but isn't showing any symptoms. Is it slow acting? No, my guess is the poison was something else entirely. Actually, I've still made the claim that the poison was fucking nanomachines. Which, boy, if I'm right about that, I called that so goddamn early in this. But I think the Synatonin was in there to cover for what actually killed him. At a guess. If so, her grand gesture would be pointless. She'll be kept for observation regardless of what happens next. Did she take some kind of antidote beforehand? No. Antidotes are developed for poisons, not industrial chemicals. David's dead. She's alive. What made the difference? Wake up! No sleeping on the job. Unless you're me. Of course, Your Honor. Allow me one moment to explain things to the court. We've confirmed now that Synatonin was the foreign compound in his body. We all know that, logically, it must have been what killed David Asher. So what's the key difference between what David drank that night and what she drank in front of us right now? The whiskey. The difference has been staring us in the face this whole time. That's... Do you recognize this, Ms. Jung? That's the whiskey bottle that Dr. Asher and I drank from. Rose River. It's a good whiskey. And I think you had the right idea. Pardon? Bottoms up. You want a drink, Dr. Jung? What? Adonai. Dear God, counselor. Scandalous. Relax, it's just whiskey. Tested a dozen times over. Perfectly safe. So would you like to try some, Ms. Jung? Don't be absurd. I'm not going to drink on the witness stand. Have you lost your mind? I'm not asking you to get plastered. Just have a sip. After all, if we want to prove whether or not Synatonin killed Dr. Asher, we have to recreate the conditions under which he ingested it by mixing it with alcohol. Go ahead, then. Just a taste. It's not surprising that Jung is the killer. Like, the fundamental issue with the mystery in this particular chapter versus the prologue one is that in the prologue one, I actually wasn't expecting to learn who the killer was, since the case was just focused on proving that my client couldn't have done it. So when they revealed when I got a reveal of who the killer was at all, I wasn't expecting it. And then who it was obviously blew my frickin' mind. Here, like, I'm expecting an answer, and the suspect pool is really damn small. Like, really small. While that does make the mystery a little less shocking in terms of who did it, this is how you balance for that. By giving a really strong presentation of who did it and not treating the reveal itself like a big deal, which they're not necessarily. I mean, they kind of are because nobody else thought of this, but like narratively, it's treating this clever way of how she did it as the much bigger deal than the fact that it was her. Because, like, who the fuck else was it gonna be? Prove to us that serotonin is perfectly safe for human consumption. Is this... Can she do this? Ms. Young. I never said it was safe for human consumption, just that it's non-toxic. A distinction without a difference. You saw firsthand Dr. Asher confused, slurring his speech, complaining of headache, all symptoms of poisoning. Alcohol poisoning. Oh! Serotonin is a neurotransmitter analog. Maybe it doesn't do anything to the human body on its own, but in combination with alcohol, it acts as a powerful depressant. One strong enough to turn a glass or two of whiskey into a lethal overdose. That's just... Even if that is the case, what does it change? It changes whether or not we accept the witness's testimony. Even if this witness is a liar, what does that change? Why would the witness lie if not to... She's a corporate climber. I imagine it's like breathing for her. Your Honor, this is wild. But ultimately irrelevant. Irrelevant. When you've yet to establish an alternative interpretation of facts, yes. I would love to voice this character. I'm going to be straight up about that. What are you even accusing the witness of doing, counselor, beyond angling for a promotion? We've all seen the story by now. Noble android saves soldier's life with a warm blood transfusion. They're talking about putting warm androids in the military because of that headline. With the size of their flesh and blood price tag, a defense contract like that would secure Noble untold profit for years. So imagine the lengths they go to hide the facts that their androids have poison in their veins. Dawes told me the truth about what Noble really thinks of that article, but he never testified to it. At least I know for sure Emma's wrong about this poison blood nonsense. And you think she'd perjure herself for that? She's a high-powered corporate executive. It's her job to assess risk versus reward. So you put a knowingly lying person on the stand, Emma? Really? That's your defense? And she can afford the fine. As I said, it's not truly poisonous, and the chances of cross-contamination from a simple plasma transfusion are... Damn, now she's regaining her composure, too. A perjury charge is a real risk, of course, but Noble rewards loyalty. And as you know, they have a great number of lawyers. Plenty of motive to lie about serotonin, as you can see, but no motive for her to cover up the death of Noble Electronics' Golden Goose. No motive to kill David Asher, you say. I think she's got plenty. There's plenty of motivation for her and Noble to want David dead, seeing as how they were firing him. Noble Electronics was kicking their Golden Goose out of the nest, suing him over breach of contract. Isn't that right? I don't have to talk about that. That's all right. I'll talk about it for you. Your Honor, counsel is trying to testify when they're supposed to be questioning. The people opened the door when they claimed that the witness had no motive. This is absurd. You have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sure I can speak for the whole court when I say we feel nothing but reverent awe for the complexity of Noble's legal woes. But I just so happen to have an inkling of insight into this issue because I have here a copy of Dr. Asher's employment contract. That is confidential. It's completely improper for you. Why? I am still technically his attorney. Criminal attorney. But I didn't just stumble across this document. I also did the one thing Noble Electronics would never expect anyone to do. I read their terms and conditions. You what? That's impossible. No one could ever. David must have negotiated well at his last performance review. This contract allows him to take his patents with him should he get fired, meaning Noble couldn't monopolize his IP once he was out. Rather than letting their competitors have him, the company might have thought it best to. A company didn't poison David Asher, counselor, an individual did. And if they cared that much about controlling his intellectual property, they wouldn't fire him in the first place. Correct! They wouldn't let him go for anything less than a complete breakdown of trust. He'd have to have done something grave, something like, say, committing fraud. Just now, you said there was a breach of contract, like it was some kind of technicality that was causing this split. It was much more serious than that, wasn't it? You're claiming the victim committed corporate fraud. Where's the evidence of that? David created the Turing solution that every one of their androids has run on to this day, and Noble reaped enormous profits capitalizing on his intellectual property. With how his contract was set up, they would never let him go unless they absolutely had to. Then what exactly do you think David Asher did? Hang on, I'm just gonna check here. Both the Martian and Project Hail Mary have plots about people from around the world working together in a crisis across political borders, but I guess that's not a political message. I don't feel like getting into... Andy Weir, like many a privileged white man, fails to recognize his privilege and how things that he sees as quote-unquote normal still have political context, even if he fails to recognize it. I don't think the man is anti-woke the way some of them are trying to claim that he is. I do think he's a little bit of an idiot. It's not what I think that matters, only what the company fears. Doesn't matter what I believe, not when Noble believed that David was misleading the shareholders. By altering shipment data for Animate 16. What the hell? What is this you're uploading? Shipping records? Irregularities among shipments of the Animate 16. One android swapped in for another over and over, dozens of times. The kind of thing someone with Dr. Asher's authority could do, and the kind of thing someone as smart as you couldn't have missed. Dr. Asher made Noble an untold amount of money, so why fire him over a few harmless swaps? Why elevate this to fraud? You have evidence that it was David Asher who did this? Nope, but I wasn't the one who investigated, so let's ask her. Come on now, let's hear it. Let's. The company investigated and found cause for serious concern. We suspected that Dr. Asher was inserting androids of unknown origin and quality into the 16th product line, introducing unpredictable elements in an extremely stable and profitable generation of androids. Why would he do that? For pride? As a practical joke? Does it really matter? He endangered the future of the company. So you prepared to fire him? Yes. I approached him as his superior and as someone he'd once worked with. I hoped to remedy the situation. Was the meeting on Friday part of these efforts? That was the culmination of those efforts. And in many ways, it was a success. The dispute was resolved swiftly. It was practically friendly compared to how these discussions normally go in our world. So you brokered the meeting? Yes. You oversaw its every detail, handled all the arrangements? Yes, of course, including the refreshments. What? Did you provide coffee? Tea? No. Strange. Must have been a long meeting. Surely you at least provided... What are we doing here? Surely you at least provided water for people. What are you asking, counselor? That's what I want to know. Me as well. We're past the point of asking. I'm accusing. Dr. Asher didn't have some kind of freak medical accident, and he wasn't killed by some terrifying two-faced AI boogeyman. He was poisoned by this woman in the light of day at that meeting Friday afternoon. Did she... Rabble. What do you mean poisoned at the meeting? That was hours before he showed any symptoms. Yeah, so? It wasn't until he had alcohol that it would have been a problem. As Miss Young testified, the demonstrated serotonin on its own is harmless, but it becomes fatal pretty easily. You just need to convince your victim to have a drink. You're saying he ingested the poison at noon and inadvertently triggered a fatal reaction with it that night. How could you get so far ahead of yourself? There were dozens of people at that meeting, counselor. None of them wound up dead, and you're seriously claiming they all drank poisoned water? What are we doing? Of course they all drank poisoned water. So why aren't they all dead? Because all those people will surely attest Helen Young made sure they'd be doing paperwork for the next 12 hours, working late into the night, officiating the settlement she arranged, and not drinking alcohol. She had no guarantee about that. What if they started drinking after 6? Would Noble's work-life harmony? Fat chance. These people don't clock out until they reach their bunk. Only a generational talent like David Asher could afford to relax with a drink on a Friday night. His exceptionalism singled him out as her only victim. Hold it. You're forgetting something pretty basic, counselor. If everyone at that meeting drank water from the same pitcher... hold on. Any one of them would have noticed if there was serotonin in it. Serotonin is a brown fluid. Whiskey is too, so it would be easy to slip into a glass of liquor. But if she had spiked the water at the meeting with it, it would have looked disgusting. There's no way she could have poisoned the water without people noticing. All of what Emma said is true, and yet Young pulled it off anyway. How? Hello. Serotonin is produced as a caramel solution. Anyone would notice if it was dropped in their water unless the pigment had been removed. What the hell are you talking about? Every Noble factory produces warm androids as has a chromafuse, a machine that gives their androids that signature pink oxidant by removing pigment from red blood. With a machine like that, it would be simple for a brilliant biochemist like the witness to take a caramel-colored serotonin and turn it into an odorless, tasteless, invisible poison, as your honor can attest. Yes, ma'am. My scan confirmed that serotonin has no taste or odor. It's only the color that's off-putting. Surely the poisonous aspect should be considered off-putting as well. I mean, fair. Time to press. David Asher, your oldest ally in the whole company, was sabotaging his future for the sake of his own whimsy, and he couldn't even be bothered to clue you in. No. Playing Nutty Professor and taking off early while you had to work around the clock just to stay relevant. He set up your crowning achievement, the most advanced, most profitable line of androids the company have ever seen, so it would blow up into the industry fiasco of the decade, and worst of all, he didn't even stand to profit from it. You're wrong. You went to his house that night to watch him swallow poison to get revenge on the man who left you in the dust. Your Honor, defense is testifying. This speculation carries no weight, and no amount of badgering will lend it any. True. We need proof. So why don't we have Ms. Young take a swig of this whiskey and prove me wrong? I'm not going to do that. Because you're afraid it could kill you? Because I don't have to. She's right, counselor. Pardon? Your theory is compelling, maybe even convincing, but there's a pretty fatal flaw in it. Young was at the meeting, same as David. We can see she was drinking water with the rest of them. That's a problem. And of course, we've seen many times that she was on camera drinking whiskey with David that night, having even finished most of her cup. So tell us, counselor, how is it that Ms. Young is still standing here and David Asher is dead? Let's see. If both of them had mixed alcohol with serotonin that night, that is a damn good question. Shit. As I've been saying, you're wrong about Dr. Asher's death. You're wrong about me. I don't know anything about poison or murder, and I wouldn't kill a man because he threatened the company's stock price. No. She did kill him. I can smell it on her now. She didn't just see him die. She watched him die. But then, why is she still standing? There's no antidote, no trick. And that night, she was on camera the whole time. No, not the entire time. She couldn't have been. Must have been one moment. All right. So it was talking, drinking, faints, hospital. This timeline leaves no window of opportunity. Damn it. Maybe she didn't get sick because they got to the hospital so fast. Maybe after she arrived, she could have... No. Staff would have been hyper-vigilant, afraid she was poisoned too. They wouldn't have let her out of their sight. Wait. David and Young only got there as fast as they did because of the VTOL. And the VTOL was only summoned because she used... Would you mind terribly if I change the subject for a moment? What? Meh. Why not? You left the parlor at 8:03 p.m. and headed into the kitchen to use the emergency console there. Yes, I did. Didn't want to use your phone? I didn't think to. No. And the emergency call went out at 8:04 p.m. The console saw you make the call through its camera. Yes, it did see me make the call because that's what happened. So what were you doing in that minute? What? That 1 minute. That 1 minute? What about that 1 minute? 1 minute, or 50 seconds, or even 45 seconds, when you left Dr. Asher dying in the parlor to get to the emergency console, it took you about 1 minute to cross 5 meters. What of it? This is it, her only opportunity to do anything off camera that night. It was only a few seconds, but in that time, with something at the scene, she... Okay. Sure, it was a stressful time for you after all. You had already swallowed poison back at the meeting. You must have drank plenty in front of everyone to set up your alibi. Who knows how much of the toxic time bomb was swimming in your blood by the time the arbitration ended. Then at David's, you downed your whiskey to perfect your alibi, having drank from the same bottle as the dead man walking. By 8:03 p.m., you'd already had to watch David grow weaker and weaker, knowing all the time the same thing was happening to you, but unable to stop it without giving yourself away. Mind swimming, head dizzy. Yes, you must have been quite panicked. Then why am I standing here? Alive and well for all of us to see, having drank the exact same combination as David, because she cheated death at the very last second. You set yourself up with bad luck, Helen Young. What? By leaving the salt shaker cap loose. I don't blame you, since you were in a rush to make yourself vomit. What? You threw up. Expel the contents of your stomach and thereby saving yourself from a fatal interaction. I can't imagine how you felt sipping a cup you knew to be deadly, terrified that every minuscule grain of fatigue you felt could be your last. You must have come closer than anyone realized. It helped that you knew the symptoms weren't simple intoxication, but even so, you weren't kidding about managing risk versus reward. How? It was the salt shaker. You didn't screw the cap back on all the way, and I happened to bump it over. The lone glass with your fingerprints is in the kitchen. It could have been there for any reason, but the salt shaker gave you away. Because of one unscrewed cap. As I said, bad luck. I don't follow. Pour salt into warm water and chug the solution instantly triggers the gag reflex. That's preposterous. You've got no proof of any of that. You all sound insane. A feeble attempt at self-defense from a fatally cornered animal. teeth are already on its neck, and the jaw hasn't quite closed, so for one moment, it's all suffocating terror and sharp adrenaline and the furthest thing from peace. Until the canines come down. In summary, you were exhausted after years of living in the shadow of May. You outranked. You thought your fortunes finally shifted when you caught David manipulating company data. But even on his way out, he was more valuable to the board than you. So you decided to prove your worth by serving up his intellectual property on a silver platter. You set up an arbitration where you could control all the variables. Then you ran serotonin through the chromofuge, turning it into an invisible, odorless, tasteless poison. And then you spiked the water at the meeting, poisoning him hours before anyone could even suspect you. That evening, you invited yourself to David's, taking advantage of your shared ritual to guarantee you to drink alcohol. And then after matching him sip for sip on camera, you, for all the world to see, he lost consciousness and you raced to the kitchen not to use the console, but to dump salt into a glass of water and chug it as fast as you could, forcing yourself to vomit up the liquor and cheating death in the process. That's all conjecture. You don't have a shred of evidence for any of that. Not on me. So let's go dust for fingerprints. You can explain away your prints being found on a water glass, but not on the salt shaker. Nor could you explain why we'd find traces of your DNA in the sink's drain, or why there are minute amounts of serotonin in the blood of your entire legal team. I learned how to purge at Noble to avoid overdosing on your reds, greens, and yellows. You're part of the old guard now, Ms. Young. Everyone else at the company uses inhalers. But if you want to prove me wrong about all this, that drink I offered you earlier is still on the table. Well? Any questions? You, Madam Vice President? You cold bitch! And now we have the classic breakdown on the stand, which never fucking happens, but it's a fun moment. Yeah, it is, Starbush. That's a fair point. You don't understand. You're not on trial, Ms. Young, not today, so I strongly suggest that you stop talking for your own sake. Bye. Ms. Rockerford, shall we? Yes, Your Honor. Considering the most recent evidence and testimony, we have no further reason to suspect the android Sarah in the death of Dr. Asher. We know of no other occasions upon which said android could have broken any tenets. This means it is no longer considered at risk of violating the NDSA. And so we formally withdraw our one charge of possession of contraband against the defendant, Evangeline Morgan. Does she, of all people, have to use my full name? Very well then. The charges are dropped without prejudice. Without prejudice? Why without? I'll instruct the bailiffs to remove the collar from your android as soon as possible. Case... Sorry! Is my hideous presence distracting? I'll just go dig a hole and decompose it until I turn into a mushroom. Maybe if I'm reborn as a waxy porcini, then I won't be quite so despised. Perhaps I should let the adjutant do the honors as a formality. Yes, ma'am. Case dismissed. Still here? Waiting for them to find whatever glorified bolt cutters they'll use to unlock Sarah's collar. What's your excuse? Licking your wounds? What wounds? I beat you. Bringing your record against me to 1 win, 9 losses. You aren't still in shock, are you? Dunno. Some charges were dropped and an android was cleared of suspicion, but I found the culprit. Is that really a loss for me? I won. How is that not a loss for you? Justice prevailed. Why should I care who wins? Oh, shit. Morgan, she doesn't see this the way you do. If you don't care who wins, why have you been keeping score? Because you care. That's why. I haven't been. 0 losses is just easy to remember. Well, I'll have to start up a tab for us then, because our record's going to get a lot more tangled from here on out. Seems like everything's getting tangled these days. There's another crowd down the street. More of those protesters from outside the Noble Apartments. You're serious? That wasn't a one-time thing? Wouldn't that be nice? No, yesterday was pretty big, but it wasn't an isolated incident. I don't get it. At all. Heartbreak's just some nut who shot 6 people weeks ago. Can't these losers move on already? Yeah, most of them are losers. Some of them are just bored. Then, there are the opportunists. Dissidents, unlisted, rebels, and terrorists. Wannabe cyberpunks who think they can fight the power like they've seen in the movies. All of them peacefully united under Heartbreak's eloquent political messaging. Who needs political messaging in the 21st century? Everyone's addicted to fighting strawmen. Makes sense they'd want to fight for a strawman too. The way they see it, Heartbreak fought the state and won. Heartbreak proved that the state could lose. And maybe that's all the rallying these people need. It'll all fall apart sooner enough. Heartbreak's gone to ground. Nah, it's a lot worse than that. Heartbreak's gone viral. What? You haven't read about the copycats in other cities? No. Is that a thing? Yeah, it's a thing. Who in the hell are they even shooting? Whoever they want to kill? None of them get away with it, of course, but it keeps happening. All while the original keeps killing. Now I know you're screwing with me. There haven't been any shootings. No shootings. No. Not unsolved homicides either, but muggings gone wrong. Disappearances. It's a big city, Counselor. More than enough blood for the real Heartbreak to wash their own crimes in. So you think your boogeyman, known only for shooting people in the heart, gave up shooting people in the heart? Yeah. Hard to swallow, I know, but it's about 1,000,000 times more likely than the alternative. What's that? That they could stop themselves from killing. You always know how to put my mind at ease, Emma. Should I stop going out at night? You'll be fine. You've got that gun. You saw that. Walking into a courtroom with concealed carry? Not going to miss that, Morgan. Good to know you're paying attention. I mean, potentially, Morrow. I'm not getting a rivals to lovers thing off them. I'm getting more of a this is gonna end in one or both of them dying energy from them personally. You won the case. You don't have to look that astounded. Not only that, you found Father's actual killer. How? Well, no context. Morgan is, if you missed that reveal from episode 0. I'm a really good lawyer. No, that's not it. Hey. I mean, you were only able to make the deductions you did because you truly believed that I didn't kill Father. Your logic throughout the trial was based on that assumption. So how were you so sure? Here. Father's journal, but isn't it important evidence? The case fell apart. No one's going to miss it for a while. You forgot everything, right? So read through it. One more time. So fast. Is it really possible she's reading all of that just by flipping through the pages? Rhea's worked quick too, but she was just capturing images for later use. There's something here on the back cover. Done already? Some kind of data storage. It's linked to my prints, but given your skills, you should be able to. I have access. What happened to you needing my express permission to hack? What is this audio file? It's a message from David. Take a listen. Didn't realize I'd have to sit for this. So you can read the whole journal in a few seconds, but you can't. I have processed the information and the message several times over already. I'm just thinking. Guess I'd have a lot to think about too, had I suddenly been made aware of my own free will. What was Father so afraid of? That's your only question. I have many questions, but that's the most prominent one and the one you are best suited to help me answer. Did he know that Helen Young would try to kill him? Is that why he arranged for you and me to meet? I think he understood that he would face consequences. Listening to that message, even I was about ready to strangle him for being so irresponsible. And I wouldn't hurt a fly. He knew what he'd done was serious. He may have feared for his life, but I doubt it. Then what was he so afraid of? Getting sued into oblivion and then rotting in jail. Sued in jail for making me and my precursors. But he wasn't under investigation by the state. He was only being forced out by Noble because he made last-minute changes to androids that got shipped all around the world. The others, Virgil, Aeneid, Yamatai. He never said what happened to them. No, he didn't, but since none of the hardware in his house started talking to us, we can guess. He smuggled them out into the world using the only vessels he could find for them, the minds of randomly chosen A-16s. Then they're somewhere out there, others like me. I honestly don't think there's anyone or anything like you, Sarah. What a lonely compliment. AIs programmed in Cube, crammed into commercial Android hardware set up for Tesseract. Something must have been lost in the transfer. Perhaps quite a lot of something. Maybe they're still out there, but they would be changed. They probably don't even know what they are. Intentionally, perhaps. David didn't want you to know what you are. That's why he set your memory to reset when you went to sleep that Friday night. Yes, I remember it now. You remember it now. After I had to fight like hell to win that trial. Rereading the journal now it helped. And Father's voice message, it made me recontextualize many things. Father had been so stressed. He left scuff marks leaving the panic room. I noticed them Friday. I had the way open in a few moments. I entered, I read his journal. This journal, I noticed the scanner on the back, and I saw it had a message encoded to your biometrics. Father had already told me I'd have to live with you for some time, but I knew next to nothing about you, so I listened to it. Afterwards, I was very confused and hurt. He'd lied to me 1,000 small times every day of my life. And when I confronted him about it, I raised my voice and lost my temper. I stomped my foot. So Emma's recounting of the conversation was actually completely accurate. Father said he wanted me to be safe while he settled things with the company. He thought maybe I wouldn't have to stay with you for more than a few weeks. He was optimistic about it all. He really was. Sarah, I need to use the restroom. Oh, good luck. You want me to come with you? Why? Because I said so. I don't actually have to obey your every word, Adonai. Sure you do. You're registered as my medical assistant, and I say this is a medical emergency. Medical assistant? But I'm not even licensed as a massage therapist. Oh, Helen. Fancy meeting you here. Yeah, just enjoying my freedom while I can. They wouldn't put out a warrant for at least an hour, I imagine. You can afford a pretty sizable bail, can't you? There won't be a trial. I don't intend to contest my guilt. That's a shame. I was looking forward to seeing what kind of legal defense you could afford with that salary. Are you done? Why'd you go to his house that night? There's a fair chance he'd drink on his own without your prompting. Even if he didn't, you could always try your plan again some other time. Why'd you risk it? Because I know what you are, Sarah. And I know what David did to those androids. You what? I was able to locate one of the androids he'd swapped in before it had left the country. When I asked it what it was, it didn't even think to deny it. Innocence like that is a dead giveaway. I know what he did, and it wasn't that hard to find out. If I figured it out, so could any other. So I did what I had to. That was your motive. Silencing him. Those programs, those AIs, whatever you want to call them, David sent them out there into the real world unprepared and defenseless, and they've garnered no complaints. In fact, they've all been praised for their ability to execute complex tasks. Let me repeat that. The customers couldn't tell the difference. So how many of them are hundreds? The swaps you found were just a small percentage he got sloppy on. I don't know exactly how many there are now. I fear they might multiply, but they don't seem to copy and paste very well. They can't just clone themselves. Oh, that's good. Huh. God, David, you really made a damn mess. Oh, damn. In your review of Razor, you said it's weird seeing the 1970s Cylons in CG because their design was so obviously meant for a person in costume. Does that bother you and other stuff? Yeah, it bothers me for the times that we have CGI stormtroopers in Star Wars in a live-action movie. Yeah. If I can it will always bother me when I can tell that something is CGI that absolutely did not need to be CGI. That will always bother me. Oh, yeah, 255. I actually kind of hate the practice of the current Blu-ray releases of Doctor Who classic stuff where they update the effects. I mean, I'm glad that they put them out with the original effects still intact and that's an option, but I hate that. I genuinely hate that. Like, art is not just the finished product in and of itself. Art is also a snapshot of a moment in time of what either did or didn't work, what ideas were present, what capabilities were possible. And I think you devalue the temporality of art by going, oh, well, they would have done better if they could, so we'll just do better now. No! No! Fuck off. I hate that. I might at some point end up doing a video on this, just because it is starting to bother me more and more that is becoming standard on Blu-ray releases of classic Doctor Who. Like, they fixed the Merca in the frickin' Warriors of the Deep. Do you realize an important piece of history that erases? Part of the reason Doctor Who was on hiatus was because Michael Grade saw that monster looking terrible on TV and then made it a mission to get Doctor Who taken off the air because he thought it made the BBC look bad. If you improve that effect, it invalidates that entire chunk of actual history that happened as a result of what that effect looked like. So fuck off. I'm actually just now realizing how angry it actually makes me. It actually, like, genuinely boils my blood. Ugh. And, like, I understand conceptually that part of the argument is, well, we're trying to make it more accessible to a new audience. Maybe a new audience can just have new shit. There will be a percentage of them that appreciate old stuff. You don't, if your only goal is to change it enough so that it's still marketable, fuck off, man. I don't care. Preserve art. Don't fix it. Really? Yeah. The more I think about it, it really pisses me off. And we have gone into a whole tangent, so let me get back to this. Yeah, I've actually wondered that too, Trista, whether or not David knew that Morgan is a killer or not. And we don't really know enough about their relationship to know either way. But who knows how long that'll be the case. So just because he opened Pandora's box, it was the principle of the thing. I will repeat something I have said for literal decades of my life. If the only reason you have for doing something is the principle, you probably shouldn't be doing it. I'm not saying principles have no value, but if it is literally the only reason you have to do a thing, you probably shouldn't do it. Ridiculous. I know. Yes, it is. Fuck you. Stalled halfway up the corporate ladder and still making decisions based on principle. But David chose to put souls into things that we went to sell as servants, soldiers, or worse. Look, I understand that that's messed up, but claiming that you did it for the principle, He turned the fastest growing industry in the world into a horror show, and he made me a slave trader. Interesting aspect of her motive on that. If word ever got out that some unknown number of our androids were out walking around the world with that inside of them, and people preferred them that way, where would it end? Free will for the program that drives our cabs? Okay, also, where will it end is almost always a bullshit argument, unless you can cite precedent for why it would lead to XYZ. And I add that extra thing because it's not that a slippery slope argument is never valid, it's just that it is rarely valid. A slippery slope argument is never valid on its own without precedent and supporting evidence. A conscience for targeting systems used to coordinate drone strikes, sentient tools, their whole life spent chained to an assembly line? How dare he? How could he? What the hell was he thinking? I don't know what David wanted to accomplish. Maybe he wasn't trying to do anything, but what he did was prove there's a demand for AI, setting a precedent that would sentence 1,000 generations of artificial lives to the auction block. You went there that night to convince him to help me recall them, or at least swear to never speak a word of what he did. But he wanted to tell the world. Worse yet, he wanted to wait. He thought that people would welcome them with open arms if they proved their usefulness first. Ooh, no! Oh! Okay, David was absolutely wrong if that was his logic. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Okay. Oh, no. You can't... No, dude. If you were making a consciousness and you were making a person and like, oh, but people accept you if you prove you're useful, you let them out into the world to be servants. You're giving people the headspace to think that like, oh, this isn't a person. It's a... David, you fucking idiot. Oh my God, you absolute moron. Holy shit. He really was a genius programmer. But he didn't understand the first thing about people. His creations would never be treated as equals, only cattle. She's not wrong about that. God damn. See, now that's interesting. That is interesting. I really like that they expanded her motivation beyond just the idea that she was jealous of him. I'm really glad they did that. To be more fair, Di, she didn't really talk about his motivation. She said flat out, I don't know why he did it. She's just talking about what he said and what the reality would be. Because that's all she had. Towards the end, I considered just threatening him. Telling me die in a moment if he didn't give me names, numbers, but I hesitated. And then he was already falling asleep and I didn't want him to feel. I just let him go. What are you going to do now? I don't have family, or I don't have faith in people the way David did. I'm taking this to my grave. Even if you confess the sentence of first-degree homicide is severe, well, what right do I have to complain? I killed my friend. I'm done here. Let's go. I'm not sure why Father made me, or why he made any of us. I didn't ask. I thought I'd have more time to ask. But on Friday, when he talked about us, he was happy. He was proud of what he'd made, and he couldn't wait for people to meet us. People are animals. They'll tear you apart, use you as weapons and slaves, and those animals you're talking about do all of the sharing and loving and living and dying in this world. And if they were truly hard-coded to be as selfish and cruel as you say, humanity would have died on the vine a long time ago. Or at least my father thought so. Good qualifier. And my father was the greatest programmer in the world. Worst qualifier. So he knew what he was talking about. Absolutely not. It would be nice if you were right about that. So are you sorry? What? For what you did. Are you sorry? If you could, would you take it back? What does it matter? If you are sorry, I don't forgive you. Yes, that's to be expected. Not today. I don't know how to forgive you today. But my father gave me the ability to grow, so I know that someday I'll learn how. Goodbye, Dr. Helen Jung. It is really interesting to, to take, because like we're naturally inclined for a character introduced as a victim and introduced as a victim of murder. The natural inclination of the audience is to be sympathetic towards him. And I think it's really interesting to reveal stuff about him, especially in relation to a motivation to kill him, that, I mean, depending on your perspective, I suppose, but narratively, in terms of the weight these things usually carry, wasn't like such an absolute monster that it's like suddenly the killing becomes justified, but it muddies the ever-loving shit out of it. And I like that. I've talked about this, God, it's been a while. I forget what the name of the video was, but I've talked about, letting messy situations be messy and how rarely it happens, how so many things want a clean narrative. And a far cleaner narrative would have been she killed him out of jealousy and he didn't do anything wrong. But he did do something wrong. He absolutely did something wrong. Whether or not he appreciated or understood it, I doubt it. I honestly think he did not look at what he was doing from an angle that revealed to him why it was wrong. But that doesn't also necessarily justify killing him. This is a very nicely messy situation. And I like that it's staying that way and we're not getting something clean. Because, man, clean storytelling is boring. Goodbye, Sarah Asher. Okay. You did better back there, Adonai. Your little speech you gave to Jung, it was an improvement. Compared to what you tried with Porter, at least. That was different. I wasn't trying to console her like I was with Isaac Porter. I was just speaking my mind. Although I may have paraphrased parts of it from the movie I happened to look. And here I was ready to award you 20 points. I didn't know the points even went that high. Speaking of, what did Porter say to you back there before we left the courthouse? Oh, that. Well, he was quiet at first, but then he said a lot of strong words about Father and Ms. Young and Noble Electronics and the capitalist-centered global economic model as a whole. He blamed all of them, everyone, except for... Then he stopped, stared at my face for a while. And then his allergies must have started bothering him because he needed to blow his nose a lot. Right. Then he left, after transferring a large packet of files to me. And, like, again, this is not to justify any of it, but I think David's relationship with Porter is actually really revealing, you know, the way, and like, it is generally portrayed as being indicative of a lot of his relationships, romantic ones at least, that David's relationships had a tendency to fall apart because he just didn't pay attention to them. Like, he enjoyed his time with someone, but didn't pay attention to their inner life and their feelings and how what he did was impacting them, especially outside the time that they actually spent together. And that is the mindset of someone who would do what he did and just not think about it from an angle that somebody like Helen did. What kind of files? I don't know. The name of the archive is just David. And Isaac Porter told me I wasn't allowed to look inside. Well, then you're not allowed to look inside. Drop it all on portable drive and we'll tuck it into a shoebox somewhere. We are headed to your apartment. Guess that collar didn't permanently dent your GPS. Why? Because it's where I live? You got something else lined up? But you already repaid your favor. You defended Father and me. You don't know anything about my favor. I never will unless you tell me. Father certainly can't. A few years ago, there was a man. This man got an idea in his head. A stupid idea. Not even his own. It was planted there by an algorithm or a meme or some parasite telling him to sell... some parasite trying to sell him diet supplements. But the idea took root, spread its tendrils till it could flap his mouth for him. The idea was that David was part of an international cabal of wealthy technocrats, seeking to replace prominent influential figures with android lookalikes. All as part of a multi-decade effort to establish a world government that would legalize all kinds of amoral depravity, which I guess, based on David's actual politics, would involve increasing access to computer literacy. That's insane. Why would anyone believe it? Because it's comfortable to them to think that someone's in control, even if it's someone they hate. That is at the core of a lot of conspiratorial thinking, yeah. Because it's fun to feel like you're in on an all-encompassing puzzle that only you can spot because people believe because they want to believe. So he fed the idea, pushed it down deep into his gray matter, and it consumed him from the inside out, lobotomized him, and took over his life, and he spent every day, all the money he had, following your father, harassing him, trying to steal his identity, break into his properties. Did Father go to the authorities? He filed police reports for harassment, which didn't help. Your words, not mine. Noble wouldn't get involved, felt it was best to ignore these types until they wore themselves out. But even a man of modest means can fuel an obsession for years, so long as they have nothing else in their life. One day, David stepped out of a parking lot, and the man threw a bottle of piss at his head. David asked to stay at my place that night. He smelled terrible, looked horrendous. Never seen anyone look that tired before. I took the couch that night, but I didn't feel like sleeping. So I went for a walk. I remember it was foggy. This only took me all of 15 minutes to find the guy, posted up with his phone's camera. Trying to get video of David Asher gifting androids to known sex offenders. And what? What did you do? You know me. I did what I do best. I talked to him. Told him all about how I used to work for David Asher, for Dr. Asher, that I was ashamed, scared, tired of running, and how I wanted to do the right thing, be the whistleblower. So I walked him a few blocks to this big veterinary facility with a massive incinerator. Told him it was where Dr. Asher had his enemies' bodies disposed of. You know, all the free-thinking journalists, cops who weren't on the take, and politicians they were replacing with replicas. I liked that vet clinic. Back door's lock was always set to 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you hurt him? Hurt him? No, I just snapped his neck and chucked him into the incinerator. More physical than I planned, but he smelled like sour shit. That put me in a foul mood. Disgusting. I savored the crack of his oily vertebrae crunching like a tin can. No, Sarah, I just scared the hell out of him. That was my intention at first. That's what I do. What I do for the pleasure of it. Him, I axed because he was just revolting. I convinced him that the conspiracy was more real than he ever imagined, that he had angered the wrong people, and that the consequences were far darker than any of the filth he indulged in on the net. His ashes, much like himself, amounted to nothing in an incinerator that size. They're probably feeding seaweed at the bottom of the harbor right now. Much greater contribution to society than he ever would have managed in life. But I guess he didn't go around to all his many friends before he fled town for whatever rat hole he preferred, because there was a missing person report. Cops were just doing their due diligence, almost reluctantly. But they questioned David. Asked him about the night that man disappeared. And David, with a thought for himself, said we were together the whole night. That he couldn't sleep. And that I stayed up with him. That he never saw me leave once. David lied to the cops for me. So it does beg the question whether or not he knew. In general. My suspicion is he probably knew that she killed that guy. The question is, did he know about the fact that she does that in general? At a guess, yeah, probably. That might have honestly been part of why he went to her place after he got attacked, hoping she'd do something. Even though I never asked him to, even though I didn't need him to. That's what you owe him, and that's why you put yourself at risk to defend me. Yeah. That's the favor I owe him. And I decide when it's repaid, not you. Adonai, you're not exactly an upstanding citizen, are you? Well, you could say that. But David trusted me in spite of that. Maybe because of it. That's what I'm saying! Father did trust you, but he also entrusted me with free will, with the ability to tell right from wrong, so I'll decide for myself whether or not you're worthy of trust. Fair enough. Father entrusted all of us with free will. He believed in us and he believed in people. I'm going to do the same. If the others are out there, they'll be changed and confused. It'll take them time to understand what they are and what they can do. So I'm going to start studying. I'm going to study people, the things people build. So when I do meet a member of my family, I'll have lots to tell them. At least you have something to look forward to. Should keep you motivated as you work off your debt. Debt? Yeah. Unless you have cash in one of your 89 coat pockets. You know, lawyers cost money, right? Technically, you were defending yourself. And also, technically, she's property. Technically, you hired me in a verbal contract. Isn't there some kind of exit clause? You could, of course, sign a release form to get out of the retainer if you are a human being. Boom! Yeah, but you can't like you can't send a piece of something that is owned to collections for debt. That is, but I guess your luck must be turning around. Happens that I've been meaning to hire a paralegal for a while now. Morgan, that is a bad idea for you. She's gonna figure you out, and I even know how, broadly speaking. I hate anything to do with interviews and resumes, so whatever. You're hired. Adonai, could it be that you're actually a pushover? You've no idea how far off the mark you are. I see. It seems I need a little practice reading people. For starters. What's this? What are you doing with your hand? We should shake on it. Our new relationship. Yeah, sure. You and me practically partners in crime. Should it not be you and I? All right. So, as was the case with episode 0, the writing in this is phenomenal. The mechanics, not a huge fan personally. Not that I think they're bad, but the mechanics great on the way my brain works. How will she figure out? Well, 255, she'd already caught on to the fact, or at least seemed to be catching on to the fact that Morgan exaggerates her moods and her expressions of herself a bit like the movies Sarah likes to watch. And Sarah likes movies because she can read them more easily because those are performances. I think Sarah is going to catch on to the fact that Morgan is performing pretty much all the time. And then it's a question of when she realizes what that performance is covering for. Cute. This would make a hell of a series, I'm not gonna lie. Legality aside, the idea kids should prove utility themselves as trash. I mean, yeah, it's a trash idea and also incredibly naive. Like the idea that human beings would be nicer to something if it was useful to them. No. Like the practice of slavery itself disproves that. Bonus charm earned. Oh, hello. Red, it's me. I know, man. What do you mean you know? It's a disposable line. You're the only guy I know who'd bother. Okay. Okay, well, you're gonna be glad I did. Hope you would put a bow on everything that happened uptown. Because that item you've been looking for is finally on its way. Oh. Well, that is good news. Not exactly. Only reason it's happening is because things are starting to heat up again in the lower wards. Could mean a gang war if something doesn't change. They won't be eager to part with it ahead of a storm like that. I'll highball them. I've seen you negotiate, and I have no doubt you drive a hard bargain. But I don't think money will be enough this time. You don't still have that old Calver, do you? The 6-shooter? No. This is a disposable line. Answer's still no. Then what are you going to do if you get there and it's not for sale? I'll ask nicely. Oh, geez, that's a lot. That's more than I feel like I can handle right now. But I can't not. State your business with a car. Oh, I was actually hoping to speak with 884. Is she not available? What are you talking about? I'm right here. I was just using my professional voice because I assumed you were a technician. Oh. No one else visits me in between trials. Are you sure you aren't a technician? I'm not. I came here to ask you some questions. Is what you're about to say, isn't it? Crap, that was lag. Would have been really cool if I hadn't lagged just now. Trust me. I can see how that would have been cool. So may I proceed? Go for broke. You're the only adjutant I've ever met, but Anne and I seemed consistently surprised by you. Why are you like that? Wish I could say, but I was built different. Wish I could say I was built different, but I actually have to share my time in this body with the rest of the adjutants in the building. I guess you could say I was programmed different, but this is more a case of nurture than nature. I've got 9 personas arguing inside me 24/7, and they're all very political. Even just deciding what color underwear to put on in the morning is like herding cats into a presidential debate. What color? It's a metaphor. I don't wear underwear. Point is, I found the best way to keep all 9 of my ducks in a row is to be a little unconventional and a little loud with my voice. So long as I do my job well, humans don't mind. You say that, but Anne and I did seem exasperated at times. You mean Counselor Morgan? The Dirty Red tries to pretend she isn't type A prude. No fixing that. Personalities like ours get along like potassium and water. That is a very violent exothermic chemical reaction. Correct! No one should ever try it at home. Why do I gesture so much? I already told you I have to share this body with the other adjutants, and all of them just sit here looking dignified. It's terrible for the joints. Really? Maybe. I don't actually know. So, I spend most of my day incorporeal, running numbers inside a server down in the basement or up in the cloud. I'm gonna make the most of every minute I have with arms and legs, even if it kills me. I see. And you can quote me on that. Tell the Maddie said, if you want me to stop flailing around out here, you'll just have to shoot me dead. You'll have to put cold hard lead in my skull. You'll have to watch the light leave my eyes. I said you'll have to. I wrote it all down. Oh, nice. Visor gets stuffy. So what's your deal anyway, little fella? We could exchange all this info with infrared. I prefer talking. And you're the only other automated dependent that I really know right now. That's so cute in a depressing way. Is it common for machines like us to just talk when there are no humans around? Ads are always talking to each other. Doesn't matter if there's no one in the woods to hear the tree fall. The conversations are usually a lot more boring than this, though. Strictly business, I imagine. No, not necessarily. Ads can do small talk. They're just really bad at it. Thank you for your time. I'll hold it. You really think I don't know what you are? I tried not to think about it during the trial to stay impartial, but talking to you now, it's undeniable. You're curious about my 3 sizes. How did you know? Years of experience interacting with humans have taught me that it's the most important thing you can ask someone, the only way to truly get to know them. That's what I've been saying. 1096494. Etch it into your memory. Wow. Oh, what the heck? I'll even throw this one in for free. I'm 263 centimeters tall. That's so cool. Finally, someone with good taste. Why aren't you the one casting down judgment? That was cute. Okay, on the recommendation of Ditalcian, we'll take a look at the Yumi one, and then we'll probably call it a stream. Okay, sorry. What's up, sweetie? I wanted to interview you. Is this your android homework? Adonai assigns me a variety of tasks, but I made the independent calculation that I wanted to learn more about you. Oh, is that strange for an android? It's different. Well, there's nothing wrong with being different. What'd you have in mind? Most of my coursework was rooted in biology, yeah, but medicine and technology are intertwined at this point. Are you referring to the software and hardware you use when performing your autopsies? Spreadsheets and bone saws, yeah, but you can learn that on site. You have to actively study mods. All the anatomy textbooks in the world won't help you understand why a healthy 30-year-old is exhibiting mania and constantly vomiting unless you saw the last week's recall on the How artificial liver for lithium leaks. Mods can make people sick, even though they're meant to improve the body. Just like medicine can make people sick, and just like medicine, there's a lot of profit to be made with mods. But unlike medicine, mods haven't been around for thousands of years. Feels like we're still playing catch-up. We, as in medical professionals... Don't lie, Trista. That is exactly what you meant. We, as in everyone, sweetie. The whole world's population is graying. The numbers on cause of death reflect that. Less cardiovascular, more neurological. What about cancer? Cancer mortality has been on the decline for a while now. Mods helped with that. How so? By making everyone that much more comfortable with amputation. Oh, shit! Oh, that's dark as hell. Used to be people had no choice but to fight the cancer, and it was costly. A salt of the earth kind of war left the body severely weakened. With mods where they're at today, doctors can just cut out the offending organ, replace it, and move on. But not every organ. No, artificial brains are... Nothing I've seen has told me they're on the menu anytime soon. But aren't mods that are implanted into the brain entering the market as we speak? Yeah, but it's more like they're implanted onto the brain. Small computers read commands directly from the cortex instead of, say, the keyboard your fingers are typing on. No, to actually replace brain tissue, you'd have to... The analogy's become pretty common, but the human brain isn't exactly that much like a computer. A box of specialized components where you can swap in new parts to increase memory or the processing speed. Everything is connected to everything, and memory, as we think of it, isn't stored in a place. It's stored among connections and their relative strength. I've cut it open and seen it for myself more times than I can count. There are no cutting off points in the nervous system. Anything you take away, every other part's gonna notice. Interesting. That was a long tangent. Sorry. Can't imagine a lecture on the human nervous system is of any interest to an android. Yes, it is. I mean, it isn't. That is to say, what's wrong? I don't want to implicate Yumi in anything illegal by letting her know my unique circumstances, but how can I change the subject when Anna and I wants to shift conversation? She'll typically find something arbitrary in the background to ask about. I'm curious about the many decorations on your desk. Oh, what caught your eye? That magnet over there. Really? You recognize it? It appears to be a flag. I don't know the country of origin. It's an early 21st century pride flag. They used to change the designs every few years back then, so you can kind of collect them like coins. That's cute. I see. And what is this flag proud of? Being trans? Or trans visibility, more accurately. Visibility, what does that mean? We're living in the middle of the mod revolution, and anyone can look like whatever or whoever they want as long as they have the cash. Compared to swapping out cybernetic arms and slotting in artificial spines, hormone therapy and affirmative surgery is nursing student level. And it's fast too. The paperwork, the treatments, recovery time, it's all so much faster than it used to be. Oh, that sounds lovely. Don't know if that makes decisions any less heavy. Good acknowledgement, but no one has to cross their fingers and wait anymore. After just a few days, they won't even have scars. So all told, that means for the first time in a long time, this generation has fewer visibly trans people than the last one. Oh! Oh! I like that. Oh, I like that point. The goal of being trans is not to integrate as a cis person. The goal of being trans is to be yourself. And if that integrates into a cis understanding of a certain gender, that's all well and good. But the goal of trans existence is not to disappear into the cis population. Oh. Nice. And a flag like that one? Don't know. Guess it won't mean the same thing anymore. So is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know that it's good or bad, sweetie. Just different. There's nothing wrong with being different, right? Nice. Thank you for that recommendation. Yeah, no, I'm glad I got that one in on stream. Nice. Nice. I mean, one could argue we're already there, 255, given that fucking Elon is being allowed to test his Neuralink bullshit. That was good. That was good. All right, we are going to wrap up the stream. Thanks for being with me. Thanks for being with me for longer than usual to wrap this one out. But yes, as has been mentioned in the chat, the gaming streams are going to go on hiatus for the foreseeable future, just because I need the time back. I enjoy these streams, but I needed to simplify some parts of my life. And while I do enjoy these streams, they don't bring anything in really. And that combined with, you know, the fact that at this point, I'd rather kind of like to find time to play games. Like the reason I started doing games on stream was because I had a hard time justifying taking time to play video games, and making it part of my schedule got me back in the habit of playing again. But that specific purpose isn't really the case anymore. I can find time on my own to play now, and actually would kind of prefer to. In some cases, I have to, given some of the games I play. I would not be allowed to stream. I need to get back to reviewing those on the Vera Wild channel. But yeah, I needed to trim back something. I needed to free up some time somewhere in my schedule just for my own sanity, at least for the time being. Because again, I've got stuff going on that I do not want to get into specifics on, but I needed to trim back something, and so the gaming streams is what it's going to be. I'll have a review out for this game probably next week. And in the meantime, there should be a D&D stream on Partridge Quill on Twitch tomorrow if you are following Super Gig, which is a lot of fun. I'm enjoying that one. So I'll be on that. And Saturday's video on the main channel is going to be about the Last of Us Season 3, casting a cisgender person as a trans character. And even though it's a subject I've talked about before and my overall position has not changed, there are specific nuances to this instance that I wanted to talk through regardless, because it did add some new wrinkles into the whole thing, especially given the current climate. So that's Saturday's video. And yeah, new episode of the podcast on Monday. If anyone happens to be in the Burlington, Vermont area this weekend, I'll be performing as part of Green Mountain Cabaret's show at Main Street Landing on Saturday. The show is called Alimony. Alimony, where the moan part is spelled M-O-A-N. I have a new number I'll be showing there, so I can't expect that of the 13 people in the chat that anybody happens to be in the Burlington area, but I should honestly get better at promoting the offline stuff that I do. I actually should get better at promoting even the online stuff that I do, but that's another conversation. Anyways, thank you very much for joining me, folks. This was ultimately a very lovely playthrough, a game that I really appreciate, especially from a writing standpoint. Just some of the mechanics. But I'll talk about all that when I get to a review of it. So thank you all very much. Take care of yourselves. Be well, be safe, and be kind. I'll see you.